Honorable Cameron.
Thank you, Chair. General, I want to understand in terms of Medicare 24, how did a bidder whose sole director, namely Kat Matlala, has a criminal record for theft and who was already implicated in procurement fraud as far back as Tembisa in May 2023, pass through your bid, Chair, evaluation and adjudication committees without any red flags being raised? And does SAPS not even conduct basic criminal or background checks on its suppliers?
In the procurement process, no, we don't do that. There are instances where there are commodities where we run background checks. And for instance, in an IT environment, we do that. The end user will indicate to us if we have to do that. In this instance, no, they were not done.
For a 360 million rand contract, you don't check who you're dealing with?
We didn't do it, Chair. In the procurement process, this normally gets done by the end user.
No, but I don't care about the end user. I care about supply chain management, because the Auditor General shows us that in the past financial year, you had SAPS had over 650 million rand irregular expenditure. You're telling me that you didn't do criminal record checks on Kate Matlala?
No, we didn't. I do not.
General, I want to move in terms of the same matter. There's a criminal case at the moment that's open in Brooklyn, in Pretoria. I've got the case number here, for forged signatures that were used during pre-employment medical screening by Medicare 24 of SAPS recruits. Can you guarantee to us today that every recruit that they signed off on actually did go through the relevant assessment? Or were they basically certifying that those assessments were fraudulent?
I cannot vouch on that. I do not get involved in the operations.
But you said earlier that there was that the services were rendered.
Honorable Chair, the end user certify the payment, indicating that they received the service. If there was any service failure, I am not privy to that, particularly what the honorable member is picking up now. But that was never raised with me. It's the first time that I hear about it.
That's very interesting, because the National Commissioner knows about it. You're part of the national management. In other words, so if forged medical authorizations were issued, do you understand that you as the head of supply chain, you are the gateway of forged medical authorizations? Let me explain. Is it not entirely possible that applicants with disqualifying medical conditions, including substance abuse, were then incorrectly passed as fit for duty?
Honorable Chair, that process is managed by the end user, and the end user is the one that makes sure that the quality of the evaluation is in line with what they have in their service level agreement and the contract.
General, stop dancing. Chair, no. This witness is dancing around.
No.
I'm not interested in the end user, General. Hear me today. I said this to you 2 weeks ago.
Join the dance or the chorus.
Yes. I said this to you 2 weeks ago in the Portfolio Committee as well. Take responsibility for your division. You are the gateway for corruption at the moment, whether it's willingly or not. This isn't an oversight. It's 360 million rand. Do you know how many detectives we could have empowered with that money? How many dogs we could have bought for K9 unit? Your irregular expenditure increased with 140% in 1 year. The way you've been describing your division today, SAP sounds like heaven. You currently, as the South African Police Service, have hundreds of members that are stuck on prolonged sick leave because of the required medical reports that were never delivered. Again, Medicare 24. These officers continue to draw full salaries but cannot return to duty, and their posts cannot be filled. How do you justify saying that there was no waste? Similar to the question that the Honourable Nomvalo asked you previously.
Honourable Chair, As I've indicated, the end user only pays for the services that were rendered. Where there were no services rendered, the end user has an obligation in terms of PFMA. The budget is with them. They manage the operations to ensure that they're paying for the services that were not rendered. I have indicated that when they raised the issues of performance, we dealt with those issues with Medicare. If Medicare still operated and we had reasonable grounds in terms of performance to cancel the contract based on non-performance, we would have done that.
But you haven't, and they have non-performed, General.
But
I'm interrupting you again because you're talking about the end user. I'm not interested in the end user. You allowed Medicare into the police. You, no one else. You. The buck stops with you. Honorable Breitenbach asked you earlier, every member has asked you so far, where does the buck stop? Maybe not using the specific word. You keep going to the end user. I'm not interested in the end user. The point is that the wrong service wouldn't have been rendered did you not allow Medicare entrance into the South African Police Service. I want to ask you the next question. 2 weeks ago in the committee, I asked you, how is it possible that your, whether it's the evaluation committee or the adjudication committee, could have slipped up so badly? Your response to me said that sometimes the people on these committees aren't competent. That's also found in the internal audit findings. Do you remember that response?
I've remembered. I remember making that response, but with the specifics to this one, the appointment of the suppliers explicitly indicate that they were competent. I do have the record, and I will make that record available.
But you didn't go and check that they were actually competent, because if I look at the Auditor General report and I look at the internal audit report, they were flagged significantly for not being correct. Now, you can say it could be frustrating to have to go and check every single one, but 360 million rand, it's more than half of the police's irregular expenditure over the last financial year. How do you explain that? And don't go to the end user.
I have to indicate, Honorable Chair, that we rely on, and I'm going to repeat it again, we rely on the judgment of the divisional commissioners that appoint these people to determine whether these people are competent to do the work that they're supposed to. That determination is done there, and it is recommended to me. It would be, I do not have the competence to go and check whether those people are competent in their work.
General, I'm sorry, again, then we can close the bid evaluation committee and we can close the bid adjudication committee, and we can ask all the DivComs to come and sit there and decide. And you're right, you don't have the competence. The entire team doesn't have the competence. This is extremely embarrassing. Do you understand that a large amount of the fruitless, let me say it like this, over 10% of irregular expenditure over the last 3 years in the South African Police Service is Medicare 24. You want to tell me that you are the divisional commissioner, one of the highest ranking police members in the country, and you didn't vet the sole director, someone previously accused of cash in transit heists, armed robbery, and the list goes on for over 2.5 decades. And he manages to become a major supplier of services to the police. Explain. And don't go to the end user.
Honorable Chair, the procurement process that's approved in the South African Police Service does not make pronouncement for security checking of the suppliers. I have indicated that there are instances where we have done that, where we are looking at security of information and any other reasonable or any other risks that we have identified in the process. In this instance, it wasn't done.
So you've basically breached the South African Police Service. You're a breach. That's what you're saying. Your office is a breach to the security of the South African Police Service. Don't look at the chair.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, it's quite simple. You allowed a criminal to get a 360 million rand contract in the South African Police Service?
It's not allowing. It's not true.
You did. How else?
No,
You didn't vet him. You didn't vet him. He was flagged. He didn't comply with the majority of the relevant things he was meant to comply with. That was found in 2 different audits. There were fraudulent signatures on medical certificates. So, General, you allowed it. Whether willingly or not, you allowed it.
No.
And it's not the committee. The buck
it's not
stops
allowing.
with you.
Honorable Chair, I would like to respond to that we did not allow. I have indicated that the adjudication committee looked at the information at their disposal. I have to concede that irregularities were picked up. It is not a deliberate act that we wanted that company to come and operate in the South African Police Service. The process that was followed. In fact, if you look at the process was correct, but there are steps in the process that were not done correctly.
Then the process wasn't correct. I'm sorry, General, you keep on telling us about processes. You even gave us a printout. So you don't need to repeat it again. And I'm sorry if I come across rude. The point is just, you can say you didn't allow it, whether it was willing or not willing, you gave access. You and your team allowed a man like Kat Matlala to get access to the South African Police Service. Answer me this. Which specific evaluation criteria did Medicare 24 fail to meet?
According to the evaluation report that we received, none. According to the internal audit, they have picked up that from the mandatory documents, they did not meet some of the mandatory requirements and they pulled through.
So the fact that that latter report that you spoke of now wasn't just some, it's an entire list, indicates things that they didn't comply with. Doesn't that show that whether willingly or not, you allowed Kat Matlala to become part of the furniture at the South African Police Service Management Office?
I would not vouch, I would not say willingly allowed Kat Matlala to come into.
No, I said willingly or unwillingly. You allowed him.
The choice of the word allow. We adjudicated and it has turned out that the evaluation was flawed.
Let's say it like this, you left the door open. Who authorized the shortening of the advertising period?
No one.
Why was it shortened then?
It was an administrative error from my people, and they will be disciplined with regards to that.
Who are you going to fire?
We do know who advertised the tenders within the process.
No, name them. Tell us the name.
It is, I don't have the name here with me.
You don't have the name for the person that extended, there can't be.
No, there's no one that extended anything. They just advertised it for 20 days instead of 21, which is an administrative error.
Who's being held responsible, General? That's my question.
We will have indicated, Honorable Chair, that National Commissioner has indicated that we should put everything in abeyance until the forensic audit report is completed. Once that is completed, everyone that has been listed to have flaunted the processes will be disciplined.
So all of them are still in their positions a year later, and the person that did that, potentially involved in corruption, is still in his or her position. What was the emergency that justified breaking Treasury regulations for that specific tender? And you should know better because you're from Treasury.
There wasn't any emergency. I have indicated that it was an error. No one authorized for shortening of the tender process from 21 days to 20 days.
And what disciplinary steps have been taken against anyone regarding this entire process?
I've indicated, Honorable Chair.
Don't go back to the forensic investigation, General. You keep doing that.
It is what it is, Honorable Member.
No, it's not. I mean, even News 24 were able to complete something in less than a month. And it was accurate. It's your department. Everything does not need a forensic investigation. It's like the new buzzword. If something goes wrong, hey, we need to forensically investigate. 3 years later, we've forgotten about it and no one's fired. What have you done? Have you laid charges against anyone?
I have not laid charges against...
Has anyone pocketed from this?
I have no knowledge of that.
So how on earth, why would Kat Matlala want to do business with SAPS?
any supplier that looks at opportunities in any government would do that. What motivated him to do business with subs is unknown to me.
No, but you see, the reason I asked this is this, you know, you disregarded, SAPS disregarded capable bidders. Let's list them: Netcare, Metropolitan, Alexander Forbes, to name but a few. Not any of the small players, but Medicare 24. Kat Mutlala's guys, they get in. Explain it. It doesn't make sense. General, I'm telling you now, and I said this to you in the portfolio committee, somewhere in that office of yours, someone is pocketing. I'll escape.
Honorable Chair, I have no knowledge of that. If the forensic audits pick up such anomalies, we will definitely deal with the National Commissioner. I believe he will make sure that the process is expedited so that we can find finality to this process.
You testified that these processes and requirements exist to ensure that entities are not unfairly disqualified, correct?
Correct.
So please explain to us, how was it fair that the bigger companies that I mentioned were actually disqualified despite having met all the requirements?
The companies that were disqualified were at the mandatory point. The report indicates clearly, if we can go back to the report. The reports clearly indicate what are the reasons for the bidders to have been disqualified, and they were disqualified based on those reasons. Big or small, if there is something that disqualifies you as a bidder, we will disqualify you.
But there were 10 companies in total that fulfilled all the requirements.
That's right. In terms of price, the supplier bid at the cheapest price.
Without fulfilling the relevant requirements, because you didn't check.
Having been evaluated based on the report that was submitted,
No, having
I would
been
have to
wrongly
repeat that.
evaluated. You didn't evaluate
No,
them.
having been wrongly evaluated, yes.
According to your own testimony, there were multiple processes, checks, due diligence mechanisms in place to ensure proper oversight. Is that correct, General? Do you still feel that way?
Correct.
Really?
Correct. The signatures are attached to the reports to indicate that those checks were done.
So if those checks were done, let me just get my numbers in front of me. How is it possible, you explain this to me, that 2022-23, you had 289.7 million rands worth of irregular expenditure. 23-24, 278.8 million rands worth of expenditure. Cherry on top, 24-25, times it by 3, 667.8 million rands worth of irregular expenditure. That is just over 3 billion rand. 3 billion rand. How is it possible? You said earlier that once you are done with the South African Police Service, you would like for contracts not to be cancelled, because things need to be done right. This is showing the opposite in terms of irregular expenditure. It's getting worse. It's not getting better while you're there.
Sure. Honorable Chair, let me respond this way. The tenders that were evaluated, we've got a mixture of tenders that were published and tenders that were evaluated. Tenders that were when I got into South African Police Service in 2023, I developed a new procurement policy, and that's the procurement policy that is running now. Prior to that, there was another procurement policy. But tenders that are evaluated, even last year or years thereafter, were advertised and only concluded in those financial year where they were. And there were irregularities that were picked up either at the advertisement point or at the evaluation point. What we have indicated is we have found that the bid evaluation process has flaws in it. We acknowledge that. I have not disputed that. And what we are saying is that we needed to have another layer to make sure that the evaluation processes are not at the level where they are.
General.
And that's where we are doing the probity.
You said that at the portfolio committee. I don't buy another layer. You need another management. I'm telling you now that you can add another 10 layers. It won't change the reality we're facing here. This is blatant corruption. The fact that Medicare 24 was reported, you testified that these processes and requirements exist to ensure that entities are not unqualified or unfairly disqualified. That's what we spoke about earlier. Despite all of this, we ended up with a shell company, specifically Medicare 24. So how is it possible that through all of this due diligence that still happened? Are you telling me that an external journalist, actually several journalists, had greater insight into the integrity of your own internal process than what you did? I mean, if all of us can see this, if all of us in here see this, if every single different political party sees this, you must be blind.
Majority of the things that have been indicated on the process were indicated in the media after the internal audit process had
You're
taken
missing
place.
the point. I'm not interested. That's back to the end user, General.
No, I hear what you're saying, Honorable Chair. In terms of the audit findings that may I?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Cameron. Can we move to Honorable Matthys?
I might be covered. Thank you, Chair. Lieutenant General, let's start off with your work at ESCOM. Your position there was a commercial and contracts manager. Just briefly, what exactly did that involve? Briefly, please.
Briefly. I've said to the evidence leader, I struggle because I used to be a lecturer part-time. It involved 3 areas. That was procurement, warehousing, and contract management specialist services.
Okay. Were you involved with the tender that was awarded to Acha? I'm sure I'm pronouncing this wrong. Hitachi. What is it? Hitachi. Power Africa. I got it right. Yeah, that one. And Chancellor House.
That would have been done at the head office. I worked at the police station, at the power station.
So
no, I wasn't.
Okay. And then why did you leave ESCOM?
CSR offered me a lucrative deal I could not refuse. Okay. I was headhunted.
Okay. National Treasury. I know you weren't there during the period when I think it was Oracle that was appointed to do the integrated management system, but you joined later while this project, and the project is still currently under investigation by the SIU. And it was more than R1 billion that was spent on that system, which you also just spoke about earlier, the integrated financial management system. What's your take on what went wrong?
I need to explain. There are 2 procurement officers at National Treasury. Mm-hmm. There's a transversal that deals with all government institutions. There's a procurement specific to the department, which dealt with that part. I was not part of that.
And you didn't get any gossip around what happened there? And you didn't get any gossip from your colleagues from what was going on there?
I was aware that there was audits done on the contract, but to what extent the audit outcomes were, I'm not privy to that information.
Okay, and then at the National Treasury, did you encounter any outside interference in your work?
No.
At all?
Not
Everyone
at all.
is just scared of you?
Not necessarily scared of me. There has never been anybody that was bold enough to come and ask, and I would have exposed them if they did.
Okay. Let's go to your SAPS and then the Medicare tender. Do you know if these services that the Cat Maklala was doing, the health risk management, has it always been outsourced by SAPS?
Yes.
Always? Do you think it's something that they should insource because it's a core service?
It's the determination that has to be done by the end user based on
You're using that end user again. I'm just asking that it's a core service of SAPS, am I correct? And it's probably it is in the top 5 tenders that SAPS puts tenders out for. And I'm just asking, do you think that this should be an insourced service that SAPS should do?
I do not have a scientific answer to it. I would not.
Is it a core service though that SAPS?
It's the core
requires,
service.
isn't
It is required. We hire people, we retire people. Yes, it is core.
Okay, and then the MTN and Vodacom tender, you were at SAPS during that period,
During that time,
and that went to court.
no, the one that went to court, I was not part of it when it was awarded. I came subsequently after that.
But it happened when you were at the National Treasury, right? So
That's right.
you would have dealt with it, but you said you weren't in the transversal contract department.
Yep. The award of the tender to the 4 big mobile network operators included Cell C, Telkom, Vodacom, and MTN. And that award was done and audited. This was above board. The process of contracting with MTN was done at SAPS, and I was not part of that process, and I was not at SAPS at the time.
Let's talk about IDEC. We had the head of IDEC, Advocate Johnson, that was here, and she told us that she received the referral from SAPS to investigate this Medicare 24 allegations. So you were aware of that, or you are aware of that because you've indicated.
I am aware of that
yeah.
now, yes.
So if the preliminary report, which you are familiar with, it was dated in January 2025, am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the complainant was referred to IDEC in February 2025. And then the final report is dated April 2025. Are we together on the dates?
Yes, we
So
are.
can we conclude that the complaint to IDEC was based on the preliminary report?
It's highly likely, yes.
And is this common in your experience? Is this a common practice in your experience?
No, it's not normally the common practice. The National Commissioner, I think, with his office and internal audit, do the determination when to do the referrals, and they will respond based on information that's known to them. I'm not normally part of that referral process.
Okay, you said you had a meeting, or the minister called a meeting because he wanted to be briefed on the Medicare 24 tender. Who invited you to the meeting?
We normally get invited by the Office of the National Commissioner.
Normally, were you invited by the...
I was invited by the Office of the National
you didn't
Commissioner.
have any engagements with the minister directly at all?
The minister was part of that meeting.
Well, in the meeting, but prior to that? But prior to the meeting, had you had any engagements whatsoever?
None
with the
whatsoever.
minister? Okay. Who was present from the minister's office?
The minister was there. I think his support staff was there.
Okay, was his chief of staff there in particular, Mr. Kabende? And I'm sure you know him because he was just here the
No,
other
not
day.
the chief of staff. I'm trying to remember.
You don't know him?
I know Mr.
Oh,
Kabende.
okay, so was he there?
Yes.
Let's move on. He was there. And what was his input in the meeting?
He did not have any input at all.
Okay. In your experience, again, is this a common practice for ministers or deputy ministers to call supply chain officials to meetings and ask them to explain tender processes and also to review a tender process? Because you've got quite a long
No,
history.
it is not. It is not a norm. In fact, since I've been to SAPS, it was the first time that a meeting was called. As I've indicated, the minister at the time said he's worried about the reputation this contract would have, and he needed an explanation
So he was
or a
worried, but
briefing.
he said he was worried based on a media report. That's it. He didn't say there was anything else, just a
Yeah,
media report.
the media
and
report,
And he summoned the entire supply chain to come and explain and to also ask for it to be reviewed. How many meetings did you have with the minister?
One.
It was just one.
One.
So the second meeting, so in his testimony, he said that he had one meeting where he asked for an explanation.
Correct.
Then he asked for the process for you to go back and review.
Correct.
And then who went back? You didn't go back to
I didn't go
after
back.
who went
No.
back in your knowledge, or how did it work?
It probably would be internal audit and legal because they were doing the work.
Okay. And then did you get any feedback after the meeting?
No, I didn't.
And then you said you did the presentation at the meeting, but at the same time, you weren't really involved in this process. So how did you familiarize yourself with it to make the presentation?
I did not make a presentation.
Okay.
I was there present in the meeting and the question was asked and I spoke to the process, not a presentation. I spoke to the process as I understood it at the time.
Okay, the process just generally for tenders or the process for this Medicare 24 tender in particular?
The process for Medicare tender specifically, what we have done, what reports were submitted, and that we have concluded the tender based on the bid evaluation committee report.
And then you convinced the minister that there was nothing untowards, because he told us that he was told initially that there was nothing untowards in the tender. That's why he sent you back to go and review this process and come back and give a report.
We have indicated to the minister that based on the report that we have received, we had not picked up anything. And in that meeting, a decision was made that we need to audit the report. We welcomed that,
So Doug, you
request.
honestly didn't pick up anything, and this thing has blown up, and there's just so much that should have been picked up. So did you properly prep to do this presentation? Because at your level, during your process of prepping to go and do the presentation or whatever it is you were doing to the minister or engage the minister on it, you yourself didn't pick up anything.
With all honesty, no. And in the
Don't
meeting,
think that's troubling though. Wow.
we are concerned. I have indicated.
No, you though, because
No,
you're
me,
the one
I
who's
am
in charge
concerned.
there, that you went there and you were like in your suit and say, no, this thing is proper. Like there's nothing untowards. We did the right thing. So it's either you didn't do your job properly, and then that is a concern in of itself, or what happened, or you were misled. And then even if you were misled by your subordinates, it's a problem.
The BAC actually was misled because the report had indicated that all due diligence was done. And that's where I have a concern. And that's why I have indicated to my team that they need to go and redo the process and redo this standard operating procedures to make sure that we arrest and pick up these issues.
Yeah, but
and they are defining that now.
I'm saying that's what you say now, but when you went to present, because you would have had to prep to go and explain that this process was proper, you didn't pick it up. And you should be concerned about that. Let's go on to your relationship with Petuna Linono. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, who was one of the members on the bid committee and then later left to go and join Medicare 24.
No relationship.
But she's on this bid committee. You don't know her officially, like nothing. Never met her, never spoken to her. Aren't you supposed to? I mean, there was one of the honorable members asked about integrity and whether you vet, well, not vet them per se, but are you not responsible for ensuring that you have sound and incorruptible members?
Like other members that were on the committee, I knew her as a colleague, as an employee in human resources, and that's as far as I have known her.
Okay, so when you found out about her role in this matter, what happened?
Her role in matter is post facto.
That's
and that matter was dealt with in the investigation by the internal audit.
Just let's talk about you.
No.
Because she's under you, am I correct?
No, she's not under
Or
me.
she doesn't report
No,
to you?
she doesn't report to me.
Let's move on. Have you played any role in, since you've been or started your career, and particularly in government, have you played any role in any corrupt activities?
In the time that I have been in government, I have never had any irregular expenditure.
I'm not asking, that's not the question.
No.
Have you played any
No.
role in any corrupt activities?
No.
Unknowingly, and then later you realize, like, you, I'm being used here
No.
to aid corruption.
No.
So, okay. Have you been vetted since joining SAPS?
Yes.
When was this?
I'm awaiting. I need to do polygraph. I was meant to have done it before I went on college, and then my vetting will be complete.
So you've been in SAPS like for 3 years and
For 3 years, yeah.
holding a very, very high position, even a very dangerous one. And the vetting process is still not complete.
It's not complete.
Have you had a lifestyle audit?
I believe that General Matlu and them have done a
Have
lifestyle.
you had one?
Yes.
You've had one.
General Matlu has indicated to me at some
Have
point
you had one?
Yes.
Yes, you have. When
Yes.
was it?
maybe a year ago or two.
And? Did you get the results?
She said there's nothing.
There was nothing. Did you get the results? Not what did she say? Did you get, like, who did the lifestyle audit rather? Let me ask you that.
The Office of Ethics and Integrity does the lifestyle audit
Yeah.
of all members in SAPS.
Okay.
If there are adverse findings, they will then let you know
Okay.
that there are adverse findings. But if there are no adverse findings, they don't give you any report.
And this was done?
I would love to believe that it was done a year or so ago.
But what do you mean you'd love to believe? Because for them to do a lifestyle audit, they have to engage you in some way, check your bank accounts, blah, blah, blah. It's a process.
No, they don't. They by virtue of them being there, they get the information and they do the lifestyle audit.
But where do they get the information from? They didn't ask you any questions at
No.
all.
No.
Is that the actual process?
No, nothing was asked.
So then that means you haven't had a lifestyle audit.
It probably could be.
No.
No, let me put it this way. I've had a discussion with General Matlu with regards to performance of lifestyle audits. And General Matlu has indicated that lifestyle audit and SAPS have been done. And she has indicated that for those members where they have picked up an anomaly, they have engaged those. Hence, I am saying...
Were you included in that, do you know? Because she could have been talking about other people and not necessarily you.
I would love to...
Because the National Commissioner said they haven't concluded lifestyle audits yet alone. They haven't concluded vetting yet alone lifestyle audits.
Yes, sir.
So I'm very shocked to hear that. But let's move on there.
Cool.
So you were appointed to SAPS in 2022. The last 2 financial years, we've had a total of almost 1 billion in irregularities on procurement of goods and services. You know that, right? In 2023 and 2024 financial year, it was just over 289 million. And then whooped, it went up to 649 million in the 2024-25 financial year. So I know you've said that you've never had a tender cancelled before, and this Medicare one was the first time. But procurement irregularities, how do you rate yourself in this regard? It's scary. For the average South African there at home,
the irregularities the irregular expenditure that is on that irregular expenditure framework are mainly as a result of this Medicare and RT69.
okay, but it's a lot, don't you?
It's a lot. May I just qualify something? The RT69 is not a tender that was done by us as SAPS. It is a tender that was done by National Treasury, and that tender is not irregular. What SAPS did was SAPS did not utilize the tender after they had indicated that they will participate. So all the expenditure that happened outside that contract were declared irregular, but the contract itself is not irregular.
Are you listening to yourself, though, General?
I am.
Yeah. And the whole nation is listening to you.
Correct.
So the tender is not, that's proper, but the actual spending was not. I mean, and I guess you're going to give me the same story that you gave one of my honorable members. Are you the divisional commissioner for supply chain and assets for SAPS? Is it the best? Are you the best? Are you who South Africans deserve right now?
I would love to believe yes.
No, but are you? Because you can see the state of our country right now. Do you think you are who we deserve as South Africans right now? I mean, we just spoke about irregular. I mean, you did a disclaimer. But even if it was 1 million or 2 million, it says a lot. It's irregular expenditure.
I cannot be just judged by one indicator, which is significant though.
Oh.
I would like to believe that I have done an immense amount of work in making sure that South African Police Service procurement is all right. I am putting effort into the irregular expenditure process, which is the only indicator in my performance at the moment, which is troublesome. But in fact, in all other areas of procurement, I have improved SAPS. For an example, SAPS used to build 1 police station a year. I have been in the last 3 years building excess of 15 police stations.
And how many do we need? Okay, let's move on. It's fine if you who South Africans deserve to head up that department. And I'm going to conclude now, and I want to talk about this issue of tenders. I'm sure South Africans are sitting, and those that are watching here, this whole tender process, it's like, what the actual? It's a lot. And it is the reason for, it opens, just listening to it's even blowing my head up. So I can just imagine for the ordinary South Africans, it's the door is wide open for corruption. I mean, even if a company's tender is awarded fairly, we have the issue that pretty much the costs are doubled. Do you procure toilet paper for SAPS? Does SAPS procure toilet paper, not you in particular?
Yes, they do. That SAPS procure toilet paper.
Toilet paper, yes.
Yes, we do.
And that is our point. So a normal person goes and we spend 5 rand on toilet paper, I'm saying, and after you even buy it in bulk, and I'm sure the toilet paper costs 100 rand a roll. But the point I'm trying to make here is that you've been in the space for long enough. There are core services, and I asked this earlier, there are core services of state departments that should be insourcing, that they should be building state capacity, because outside of the corruption that it causes, we even have a problem that children die in pit toilets, and this is not under your watch, but I'm saying just generally as a country, because we cannot even do a basic thing like doing a proper toilet for kids. They are dying in pit toilets. People are dying in hospitals just because of a tender system. We had a whole PKTT team that's established to deal with political killings because people are killed, politicians are killed, CFOs are killed because of tenders. So they're either killing to get a tender or they're killing because they don't want the corruption in their tenders that are done. So what would you say? Okay, Chair, I'm done because this is more of just a political speech.
I want you to stop speaking.
Yeah, I'm done. But I just wanted the general with his vast experience to speak to the process.
If both of you can just stop speaking.
Getting rid of this tender process for core services, and that we must insource and strengthen government entities. And we probably wouldn't be sitting here today dealing with an issue of a Medicare 24 tender when SAPS could have long built.
Honorable Matthijs, I no longer hear you. You have stopped speaking.